And we are live. Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream, where I'm going to be doing something I've never tried before in Blender, because I saw this really cool video by 2Swap about adventures in state space. Basically where this sliding block puzzle does stuff and then connections are made based on the states. So I do not know a lot about state space. I'm just gonna say that outright right now. I just saw the video and I'm like, let me try that. So, I wanted to try it on a Rubik's Cube, but we'll get to that. I think that might be above my level at this time. What I'm going to start out with is having a cube move in different directions, and then reading that movement in space, and then drawing connections based on that. Maybe I'll make it more complicated where blocks can collide, and then they can't go into certain places, and then maybe that'll make the structure more interesting, and then maybe the Rubik's Cube would be even more interesting. I'm not sure. But the general methodology that I'm thinking behind this... Oh my god, I made this Rubik's Cube before the repeat zone. Oh, that's so fun, isn't it? I think I made this in like 3.0? Yeah, oh boy. That's an old project, very old. But it's saving me time today, so it was worth it. The general gist is that I plan on hashing the position and rotations of all these instances, and then creating lines between vertices, which I'll have to use merge by distance because we cannot actually draw edges from points. And I don't want to use curves to points at this time. Yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, I can just use extrude on certain selections and do that. Yeah, that'll work just fine. Okay, so let's start out with the simplest version and then try to make it more complex as time goes on. So I'm going to use a simulation zone to just move this cube in a random direction, 1 meter in every direction randomly. Okay, so I'll just, and let's switch this to be an instance. Geometry instance, you know. I was also thinking about working or testing out the physics branch, or the solver branch, but currently, it is currently being worked on as we speak, so I'm not going to mess with that right now. But it's cool to see that it's being worked on, live almost. But yes, let's go and use a set position node. We'll just be using the offset on this instance. And again, set position works on the instance domain when there are instances involved, but you can use the store named attribute node to affect the actual vertex positions if it's on the point domain. That's why I love the store named attribute node. It is so nice. I love it. Anyway. So, let's see. How am I going to do this right? Do I just use an index switch and then call it a day? Yeah, let's just use an index switch. I feel like being lazy and not even worrying... This is so dumb, but my brain's just like, you know what? Let's just not worry about anything else. So it's 1, 1, 1. Then -1, -1, and then -1. Are those all the places it can move? Positive X and... Oh yeah, maybe. I was thinking about using vector rotate, but that's just unnecessary at this time. So let's use a random value node. Also, is the music too loud? Is it rivaling my voice? Oh, it is! Ooh. Well, the next song will not be as loud. Okay, let's set this to be a random integer and then use the scene time frame. There we go. Or either one of those would be fine, but I'll set it as the ID for now. Actually, no, the seed. Okay, so we have all that goes into there. We plug that into there. So we should see that I'll move 1 meter. Oh, if I set it up correctly. There we go. So now this is moving to a random spot on the map. Again, the default cube is 2 meters wide, which I will always dislike to a unreasonable degree. There we go. So now that'll be moving around. So now what I want to do, because that works in 3 dimensions, and we can connect 3 dimensions, but if we also plug in rotations, that would be more dimensions, which we cannot represent in 3D space, which is why I want to hash it. And we'll see if that'll work. Again, I don't know if that will. What's the plan? If you missed it, the plan is to somewhat try to maybe potentially recreate the state space thing here by 2Swap. The video came out yesterday. It's really good. It made me think my brain was expanding by seeing all the possible connections for a sliding block puzzle. And if we have more instances, this will make a lot more sense, which I could make more. Actually, I could just duplicate, let's start with one, but I'll have the option right here. Because if we have two, we could have multiples of these going around, and that'll make the state much more interesting. And I need to see if we can actually hash that and make that into something that actually makes sense. So we'll see if it works. I think there is there is a 50% chance this will work the way I want it to. So always room for error. So we can start with one vertice. Or no, wait. We'll start out with just vertices in different space. So we'll have points, and this will be 2 vertices, points of vertices. Let me check the audio levels, because the music still seems a little bit loud, yeah. On a side note, is anyone happy about Silksong? It took so long with basically no communication, but we're finally getting it, so it doesn't matter anymore. Less than 2 weeks, I'm so happy about it. Okay, so I have vertices, and then the position of this vertice will be determined by the state of in this case, an object or collection. So in this case, we'll have our cubes. We'll go and attribute statistic the vector to get the sum of all of the positions of the instances. And then we will go and hash out that value. So hash, I'm not sure if this is the way to do it. Again, I do not know how state space stuff works. This is me just being like, oh, let's go and try that out. That'll be fun, won't it? And I'm going to store that hash. I could store it as a named attribute, or I could represent it in 3D space. Either would probably work. Actually, does merge by distance have a selection? Yes. Oh, it does, okay. If this works, I can say, okay, if the hash on one matches the hash of another point, then connect them. And then when multiple connections do that, that will be interesting. What were you doing with the Rubik's Cube? I've been working on a Rubik's Cube solver in GeoNodes for quite a while. No, that is not a Rubik's Cube solver, that is a Rubik's Cube unsolver. Where it looks like it's solving, but in reality, it's just reversing time, which I guess is one way of doing it. But yeah, no, this, again, it's a very old setup from 3.0. I could just go and use a repeat zone. Yeah, let's go and actually update that. Won't take too long. Let's have the geometry as the input, the C? Wait a minute. Okay, that goes up by 1, and then all that happens. And I can plug in the iteration into here, so I no longer need to use that. Oh, you love to see it. So nice. And then, oh, that UV map got automatically added. Interesting. Very interesting, wow. And I'm actually surprised that a setup from 3.0 just got shot into 4.5 and it worked just fine. Okay, let's go and ungroup. Okay, let's not get overwhelmed by the amount of nodes. I planned this so well. You forget how good the Hollow Knight soundtrack is. Let's see, so the amount of it... What is the air? Geometry. Wait, what did I connect? Do that into there. And the iteration does not have to be passed through, and the value, the progression value, does have to be passed through to the next iteration. So right here, we can see that there is a... Huh? Wait, what? Why can we still see that? Okay, well, let's use a subtract by the progression, I assume. And that actually has to go through. This is a mess. I apologize, everyone. We'll be out of here in a minute or two. So we no longer... Wait, no, I subtract the iteration? What the heck? We're just gonna copy it basically 1-to-1. You know, it doesn't really matter all too much. Okay, so we have that. We plug that into there. We set the amount of iterations to be... About that. Does that still... Oh, no, that does not work anymore. Okay, I screwed it up. Dang it. Let's go and double check. Okay, so we have that. That gets plugged into the output there. That gets plugged into the output. That goes to there. What did I screw up? Ah, subtract by 1, I assume. It's still not functioning as intended. That seems to have gotten fixed. Come on, buddy, work with me here. What's your problem? Oh, I set this up in a neater fashion before. So the iteration goes in through there. And that gets subtracted by 1, which I don't know why I did that. But apparently that's what happens. And that's all for the random seed. So we don't even need that. So we can straight up remove you. You will be completely fine. Simplifying the process significantly. So again, all of this is completely unnecessary, but... yeah. And I could probably just subtract the progression by that and it would be fine. The geometry. Rotate instances by local space. And it's still doing absolutely nothing. Okay, something has gone awry. Let's see, the value goes in through there, goes through there, goes through there. And then it subtracts again, and then gets sent through to the other side. So what is the issue at hand that I am not seeing? Oh no, it is working. What? Oh. Quirky? Oh, maybe it's because the hash, like, the seed is different, and that causes the amount of time it takes to go down. Okay. Well, yeah, it is what it is. And I should probably clean up a lot of this, but the pivot point... Why did I do this? And I could use an index switch to... rotate. Yeah, I could just use an index switch instead of this for a random axis to rotate on. Position, rotate vector, multiply, and all that. Yeah, this is, wow. Hey. Why did I do all this? Man, I was not the smartest. 3, 4, 5 years ago? When did 3.0 come out? I forget. Okay, anyway, let's get back to square one. So here, what I intend to see here is that our lone vertex is going to be hashed into oblivion, so it should be going up. And maybe we can go and see something here. Or let's use the spreadsheet to see what's actually going on. The spreadsheet, we can go right here and we can see, yes, the hash is working as intended. Now we do need to worry about float point precision errors, which is why I should probably make it so that it doesn't rely on float values whatsoever, but we will leave that for a future moment, because that's probably... yeah, probably a bad idea. Okay, let's go and put this into a frame, because we're in Blender 4.5 at the moment. It's so nice working in 4.5. Also, Blender 4.5.2 came out recently, and I recommend you go and update, because apparently there were a ton of bugs that I just never run into. I have never run into English, that got fixed. Apparently there are still maybe a few that will be squashed in the next few... Simulation zone, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. There will be a few bugs, like, with performance and such. Like, I think there was one with, like, drivers that's not fully, fixed. But that'll probably be fixed in the near future. So, yeah, Blender 4.5. It's an LTS release, which means it'll just keep getting better for the next 2 odd years, if I'm correct. Okay, let's go and join geometry, even though I... Let's see, how do we do this correctly? I could just... Wait a second. I can just extrude from the previous point, and that would be fine, because the indices, it has to be connected to the previous one. And then I would have to merge by distance anyway. So there are 2 steps to this. Let's see, do I actually know what's going on? Hmm. Yeah, no, I have to extrude this every frame and then set the new extrude position to be there and then just merge the parts. Oh, no, wait, this is simpler than I thought. My brain is actually working. Okay. So here we can see that the amount of vertices are going up and the hash is going into the position. If we go, no, that's way too big. Okay, let's go back to the camera. Yes, let's bring us back home. Again, the hardest part is me. I did it again. Come on, come in. There are also cool other branches being worked on. Like one is a performance option that will be put into the outliner. Again, I have it's just experimental. Man, the music is loud. I apologize, everyone. You need to hear my beautiful voice over the beautiful sounds of Hollow Knight. And also Blender 3.0 is still on, which I need to turn off. There we go. Also, thank you, Tony, for the $5. The reward for solving the cube, smiley face. Thank you for the donation. It's very appreciated. Let's see. So again, do I just make a line? Do I just extrude this and then put it to the previous index? It might be a good idea, but actually no, it might not be. I would just set the position to be that, so it wouldn't even be the offset. Yeah, okay. So every frame, I extrude the last vertice. Yeah, extrude the last vertice that did something, and then place it in a new position. Okay, so we need to think about this in a different fashion. So, okay, let me do this. Again, this is the hardest part. My brain is quite small. So let's go and do this to be extrude. If extrude is true, it'll do that. So at the beginning, this will be true. And then every single time stuff happens, the extrude will happen. So it'll just be set to that, resetting that value, and then the extrude will place the new thing into there. But we also might need to, we still need the combine X, Y, Z, which in the, yeah, let's just use X, it'll be simpler. So we have that stored and that'll continue to the next frame. So in theory, we'll see lines showing, float point precision errors, my beloved. This is probably why we don't want to do this. But if different vertices have the same hash, then we want them to be merged. So that's why I want it to be in space. Because look at that. This should not be happening. And there's oh, it's causing the lag. Dang. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting. How am I gonna do this correctly? Because this is just representing it in space, and then I need to have a second simulation on top of this. Can I actually do that? Yeah, no, I should. To actually make it so that these parts are a set distance away from each other. So that is doable. So I just need to get the distances on the edge domain, make sure that they're equidistant from each other, and then average those as things go along. So that should work just fine. Ooh, this is my brain. This is a unique problem that, to be honest, you probably shouldn't be doing this in geometry nodes. Geometry nodes is not made for this, but it feels like it might be able to do, words. It might be able to, so I want to try it. That is interesting. Let's go and use a transform geometry node and scale this to be like 0.00001. So that oh no, this is probably just because of oh, whoa, never mind. Why is it 4.2 million vertices? It's doubling. That's because I forgot the most important part of the setup, which is to only extrude that one vertice. That's why it's lagging. Have you any interest in recreating the time travel effect from The Flash and had in Batman v Superman? To be honest, I don't have any interest in recreating anything from that version of The Flash, if we're being honest. Nope. But I did recreate the Loki timeline effects a while ago, years ago. Let's see. Dang it, why is the music so loud? I apologize, everyone. Like, it was at 6 before, and now I'm lowering it to 2. I am so sorry, everyone. I'll put the microphone in a better place. There we go. Now it'll just be a little hint in the background. Okay, so we have all this. So we actually... Okay. Do I make it so that we simulate the actual position? Yeah, I think we have to. Because we still need to merge by distance. Which, there's a good chance this will crash. Because we do need that to happen, and we need to set this to be, like, maybe 0.1. Music name, this is... Hollow Knight Graham / plus Nightmare King OST from Hollow Knight, because it is a good game. It's in Silksong. Wow, it is still loud. Looking at OBS, it's like, dang. Okay, so merge by distance works. But now we need to do the actual simulation side, which we may need to keep as a secondary position and then set that position in post. So this may be a bad idea, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's go and store some named attributes just for... Oh dang, but that won't even work in a nice fashion either. This is a unique problem. No, okay, let's do a secondary position. It'll make it, it's less convenient, but we gotta do that. So this will be position 2. We won't be having any velocity or anything like that. So the default position will just be the position. Yeah, well, that is annoying. I can randomize it by every single frame, so it'll be okay. So edge vertices. Actually, can we store that on the... No. You need to evaluate at index. This will be the edge. Nope, that's a point index, and then we need to evaluate this on the edge. Oh, this is a pain. If only there was a solver being worked on that would solve this. Like, at this moment. But yeah, no, I'm excited for the solver branch, even though, again, it's still a work in progress, so there is a chance that just, subtract, normalize. So that version of it won't be included into any version of Blender, but I'm hoping that at least one solver will be, pulled over into a version of Blender, which most likely will happen. Okay, and then we need to scale this by a subtracted thing, and we need to take that offset. This is an offset, yeah. We need to scale it by 0.5, if I am correct. We need to evaluate this on the... shoot. No, we just need to take the midpoint. Yeah, no, okay. Wait, I'm forgetting how to do this. Because it's... Oh, dang. We just take the positions. Because I'm not doing this in the way that you probably should, which is just look at the point in front of you and the one behind you. I haven't done this with just edge vertices before. Well, no, I have, but it's just been a long time. Let's see. That wouldn't work entirely. What the heck, let's just go and try it. Not the happiest about it, but also we need to put the actual position into there. It needs to be evaluated on the edge domain and then stored on the point domain. So if we do that, that'll happen every single frame. Then if we set the position to be the position, we need to put this into a group. My brain is just working a little bit too fast for the rest of me. Okay. So the position is 0, 0, which, yes, I kind of expected because we need to actually randomize the position by a little bit. We need to add by a random value. It needs to be such a small value, it's basically nothing. Just so that there will be a direction. I want it to kind of spawn in from nothing. That's 0, and then we need the scene time frame. So if I did this correctly, you can see that position 2. It's placing this somewhere, but, oh, right. There we go. Okay, there we go. See, it is not working, but we can see the vision, and that's the important part. So, right, how do we do an edge length constraint again? Without it being... Come on, make group. Make a group, buddy. Hello, can you make a group for me, please? Node, make group. Node, make group. Does it not like zones? That is always a possibility. Let's go and put this over to here and here. Move this down. Plug this into here. Oh, something got disconnected. Ah, okay. So let's go and delete everything else. I apologize that this is so complex. I should be going slower, but it's like, no, I could probably do it faster. This will be... Let's see, edge constraint positions. Yeah. Again, this is just the visualization position. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. There we go. Let's move this over to here, collapse that, put this over to there, put this over to there, put it over to there. Lines and boxes, everyone. Lines and boxes. You love to see it. I thought about trying to make a reroute node that was like the touch designer selection node, where it would allow you to portal values from one node to another. But I do not have the skills for that, unfortunately. Let's see. We have that in the edge domain, but this is wrong because, again, this is acting as if we have both of those positions, and it's only in one direction. But if we just mix it, we'll go and get or average it, you know, add and then, no, just mix is fine. We'll try to, we can have that in the edge domain, and then if we put that in the point domain, it'll try to stay no, but that wouldn't work either. How do we get the in front position and behind, or all the edges, and then do that? I forgot how to do that. I did this ages ago. How did I forget? This would work on curves. Yeah, what is... Negative? No, that wouldn't work either. Or, yeah, see? It's working in one direction, but not the other. It needs to be on the edge domain. Now, okay, let's try the mix method. Probably a bad idea, but what the heck. And edge vertices. Wait, this on the edge domain, I'll average it, and then we need to set the distance from there. Oh, still not the happiest about this, but what the heck. Let's give it a go, see if we can make it work. So that and that, we'll do that, set it to be 0.5, so that'll move halfway, just so that it doesn't go berserk. Okay, it is kind of working, but we can see the issue. Wait a minute. It might be working. Oh my god. No, I need to have this on there. Yeah. Wait, the setup might actually be working because the state of these two, if I limit it to just 2 dimensions, so that it'll go between, and this is why we use the index switch. So it'll just be like a -1 and -1. Set that to be 0 and a 0. I know, I should have done it that way. Where it does like X positive, X, yeah. Reset. Oh, come on, but wait. Oh, you can reset the entire network. How did I not know you can do that? I must be out of practice. I'm forgetting things. I can't be that out of practice, can I? So in this case, I can set it to be 0 to 1 to be just 1 dimension. Excuse moi. There we go. So here we should see that there are connections being formed and all that. And then if we set to be 3, it'll be a 2-dimensional thing happening. But what I don't entirely get It is making the connection, so in part it is working. I just need to be sure. Merge by distance is working as intended. If I set it to be 0.25, maybe that'll make it a little more robust. So when these cubes go to a state where they're in their previous state, they'll form a connection. But I don't know why it's only going in the positive directions. What is that monstrosity of a node? That is known as the index switch, where you can have as many inputs as you would like, and then use an index to switch between them. As we can see, at 0, it'll be index 0, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One of the most useful nodes, or, well, it's a very useful node. It's like a switch node, but better. Or, it takes an integer input instead of a... Why is that only going in one direction? I thought I specifically set it up so that would not be that. Ah, that is the issue at hand. I did not randomize that either. So there we go, that's a bit better. So with this, we will see connections start to form in places where the states are similar. Okay. So, as we can see here, the state is not as nice as that one. How do we make it actually look nice? We would have to add in some sort of tangent force on these. I could also try making it so that it's exclusively in 2D space. Again, the randomization is simply to... Oh, is this a case where I'll need to make it so that it tries to move away from... Is this an index of nearest issue again? I really don't want it to... Actually, wait. Index of nearest. Yes, we can put in a position input. Okay, we are saved! Can do that. So we have 1 point that's... Actually, wait a minute. I can just do this, can't I? Yeah, I can. Or no, wait, we need both. What am I talking about? So we need this one, and then we need another quote-unquote force pulling it in the opposite direction. Actually, you know what? Yeah, to simplify this greatly, I'm going to do the random position add after the fact, so that we can portal the data and not have to worry about it. So we have the position, and we can increment that. Yes, this will make this a lot nicer on my brain. There we go. We can have the position be put into there. Then we can sample the same data, run it through the thing, so that it'll try to do this. And then we add the two forces together. Again, no delta time, because I could not be bothered at this point. So here we can see they will try to be... Oh, this is trying to keep it close or far away. So we need to put a min or a max on this. Forgetting which one, so I think we need this to be a max. Oh, dang, but it's doing that thing again. Oh, it does need to be randomized per thing, doesn't it? I am mildly annoyed. Actually, no, it should be fine, shouldn't it? Okay, anyway, let's put these into frames. And yeah, what the heck, we'll just, DF. I really like the new frame operators. Let's see, let's put this into here, put this into there, put that over to here, put this over to here, put that into a frame, and then do this, and then that is fine. We're still adding randomly. Let's see, it's still not exactly how I would like. How did they do it there? would go off in one direction. So maybe I just need to take the previous position into account. And then just move it in a direction? Question mark? Because it is working. The connections are being formed, but it doesn't look neat. So how do we actually make it look neat? Seems like it tries to put like 90-degree angles between everything. For each triangle. If there's 3, it tries to do that, but no. How do we... Because the visualization is working, but how do we make it look good? Trying to force... Actually, wait, why don't we just put some noise into the mix? Maybe that'll help. Normalize, off, scale, scale. Put you into there, and then put you into there. Let's go and set that to be like 3 or so. And then turn down the amount quite a bit. Yeah, the other one would still try to straighten out. So how do we make it so that it straightens out? Let's see, we basically have the edge tangent right there. Or no, we have the midpoint, not the tangent. So, if we were to go and do this, we would get the tangent. If we were to subtract, we'd get the tangent. We would put that into there. And do we try to just, normalize it and then do a little add into there? This is probably a bad idea. But we'll see, we'll see. Aha! Yeah, no, that was a bad idea. Oh no, wait, because I want to dot product it. I want to take the position and then align it to the tangent at least a little bit. Okay, the position, okay. I need to perform a vector rejection or projection? No, I just need... Yeah, no, just a vector projection. That'll be fine. Okay. So I need to do that. So instead of that, we need to use a project. That into there, plug that into there, and then... No. What am I missing? What am I missing? Wait, is it... Do I need to do a vector rejection for the force? So I need to do that, but then subtract it from there. Okay, subtract a projection to get a rejection. And then we just add scaled version of the rejection into there. This is probably a bad idea, but anyway. We try this. So 0.5. Something is occurring. Or wait a minute, I have this totally wrong, don't I? Ah. What I need to do is just make the extrusion position go in a very random direction. So we'll keep that in mind, but we'll delete it for the time being. I'll move you over here so that this will be simpler, because apparently I'm just making this too complex for my small little brain. Then we can go and align these vertically so that we can have nice lines and boxes. Very nice oriented fashion. Again, right here. There we go. We love to see the lines and the boxes, and also you should probably be last. because of this. Add order does not matter, remember. Let's go and get the extra, which we still cannot get named attributes from their source, which is interesting because in theory you should be able to, right? Maybe not, who knows. Let's go and get the position and then just add a random amount. So every time a new position gets added into the fold, it will just go in a random direction, and then it'll have to adjust it'll have to do the length adjustment beforehand. So, it'll probably work. We got that and that. Let's use the scene time frame, but we want to add into the frame to give it a different value. Yeah, turn that off. Hide that. That can be set to 1. I could always scale it after. There, and there. Again, always do that in a vertical fashion. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what else I expected. We're almost getting it, but it doesn't look as neat as that one. I should know how to do it. Let's see that the merge by distance is connecting the different places. Okay. Also, maybe we should go and set this to be like 0.25. Again, actually, no. Let's make it so that they have to be even further away from each other. Really make it so... Huh. Is our distance constraint not doing what I want it to because I accidentally set it to be a... Yes, apparently. And of course, the distance is freaking out as per usual, but here we can see that the states appear to be working, though whenever they go into a state they've been before, they will connect, which with this going in random directions should be able to occur. So, and also, let me make it, just to make this a little more interesting, that the positions will wrap around to the other side. I could do this in one node, but it's fine. Set this to be 4 and 4. Let's let it run, and we should see that, yes, they are teleporting around, and we can see connections are forming. I'm a little bit worried. Okay. We need to go into here, and I just need to make the position constraint different. Lines and boxes, everyone. Lines and boxes. So we're not going to try to do everything in one go. Unless I use the repeat zone, but no, using the repeat zone with some of this leads to disastrous results. Performance-wise, so we're going to not do that at this time. I'm going to run a repeat zone so that we can get stable. Or we... Yeah, no, let's just have the... solvers. I'm looking forward to the solvers a lot. I'm looking forward to it so much, even though this is so simple I should be able to do it myself, but unfortunately I've just forgotten, and I just straight up have not made one of these in the past. So I'm gonna do this so that hopefully, there we go. It's a bit better. And also let's disable the noise. Is that apparently, yep, it's not needed anymore. Okay. So the states are being drawn into a web. They are trying to go as far away from each other as possible. There we go. Okay, so it didn't have to be as bad as it was. I was just... Oh, and we could probably get rid of you as well, since the random offsets. Yes, of course. Okay, there we go. See, it didn't need to be that complicated. I just had to sift through it. So here, they are still trying to go away from whatever that is. There we go. So now, in theory, I can hash the Rubik's Cube and then make it work. And I would have to hash both the positions and the rotations separately, which I can do just fine. Catching up a bit late. What is the goal right now? Yeah, let me read the chat. Sorry, I've been so... Oh, and I should save this. The goal is to basically copy what 2Swap did in their latest video about adventures in state space, where this 2D sliding puzzle will be mapped, every possible connection of its state will be mapped as vertices and edges in a 3D space, but it also maps more than 3 dimensions because, you know, the degrees of freedom and all that stuff. I don't know how it was done. I just saw the video and I was like, you know what, let's go and try it. But apparently, it is possible, though hackily, you know what I mean, due to me, well, no, I could make it more robust by, yeah, seeing which indices are the same, accumulating, putting them in the same position, merging only that selection. Yeah, no, I could make this more robust and not having to avoid float point precision errors. But the goal for the end of this is to... Uh-oh. Are you okay? Yeah. So I should... Now the music is so... low. Oh, Nosk. That boss fight was annoying. My favorite fight in Hollow Knight was the Mantis Lords. It just had such a rhythm to it. I liked it a lot. Okay, so this is the... Okay. State connections. Yeah, there we go. So as we can see, it's not half bad right here if you put it into node groups. One for the connections, and then another one for the just visualization side. And then we go and set the position afterwards, and then we're done. So all in all, not the worst. Let's see. On the camera info node commit, you mentioned that the node is useful for camera projecting objects / effects that will automatically adapt to different view ratios. Can you explain that a little bit? If you use the projection matrix, it'll automatically give you the aspect ratio of the camera. So if you change this or that, or any of the camera settings, it will automatically adapt because the information is just there. So if you use the camera's object transform using the object info node in conjunction with the projection matrix, you can go and put things on the camera where they will always just be there, correct aspect ratio, correct everything, all the time, guaranteed. The camera info node was very much needed. Although a general node to get object information would be better, a specific node like the camera info node is all that's within the scope of geometry nodes at this time. But maybe in the future with bundles and closures and all that. Maybe. We'll see. Probably not for Blender 5.0. There's no shot of that happening. Instance on points. Oh, instance on points. So now I just want to do a little bit of, you know, making this look somewhat fancy. Join geometry because I want to also visualize the connections. So we'll put this right here. There we go. Put this right over there. Plug that into there. Maybe set this to be like 0.1. There we go. So now it'll almost be like a plexus effect, except not quite, because the connections are being driven in the opposite direction. And I should also, actually, wait. I can also use the extrude to switch the scale so we can see. Oh dang, would we be able to see that because of the interpolation? Let's see if this will work. So the newest one will be the largest. Even when it's... Okay, good. So even when it's going over similar paths it's already been on before, we'll still be able to see the traversal. Yeah. Okay, and I still want to make this a little more stable so we can do 10 iterations of this. There we go. So, for random objects moving in two-dimensional space, we can see that this is what's being formed. So, hey, I think we got it. Let's set this to be 5. So now these will only connect when they go in a similar space. But as we can see, they're not going back to a similar oh wait, no, they did. A connection occurred. Actually, several. So yeah, here we can see that these states are working as intended. Very cool, very nice. Look at that. So now I guess it's time to just make the visualizations a little bit better. So yeah, let's make another node group for the visualization side. I'll keep the set position outside of that. So node, make group. So here we also need a curve to mesh, mesh to curve, and curve to mesh. To curve, mesh to curve, curve to mesh. And this will be a curve line, because unfortunately I cannot use the hair curve data type for automatically drawn curves, because that part is not generalized yet. Oh wait, was that going to come in Blender 5.0? I forget if they were folding all the curve data types into one. It would be nice to have it so that if the curve was set to the like curves data type geometry nodes, it would just work without, you know, the other stuff. I could just do that if I made this into a curves object, but no, that's too much of a hassle. We don't need to do that. Set this to be like this. Let's also make some nice materials for these. Soundtrack is going so hard, you'll love to hear it. Let's make it so that both of these have the same material, and I could just go and use the same attributes on both. So let's go and use a nice set material node. Oh yeah, this song is a jam. This will be state, base, yeah. So yeah, the attributes will be stored on there, but we'll have to reference the instancer and point domains for that. So this will be viz, visualization, but also in here, not there, we'll do here. I want to make a almost age value that if the extrude value is doing that, we can set the value to 1. Otherwise, the value, which this will be age or no? This will just be fade. Let's not make it capitalized. I really need to get out of the habit of capitalizing every single attribute. Blender does it by default unless it's an internal attribute, so I'm so used to it. I really need to kill that habit. Okay, let's go and get fade. So if we do this, we'll see that this works on the geometry, but not the other parts. So if we switch this to be instancer and add the two together, that's how you get attributes in the shader editor on multiple domains. So here we can see, turn off temporal reprojection. Always turn that off. Never have it on. It makes it so hard to view things when you're trying to do stuff. Yeah, we can see it's working quite well. Could I subtract it by... Actually, wait, no. Let's make this an age value instead. So if it's like that, I'll do that, and then we'll add one every single frame. So here, this will be the age since something has gone along there. So with this, we can now use a map range node. This basically say, okay, it's like that, we can do this. So we can see where it was and where it's going. So we can see the history of it as it goes along. Here we go. Nice. Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it. How do we make this even better? Like, I could try making the tangent thing happen. Yeah, wait. I think I'm almost remembering how to do the proper, like, tangent alignment. Oh, wait, how do we do that? My brain's just like, oh, we almost have it, but I just lost it. And I want to do it without, like, it's like, oh wait, you can get the point ahead and the point behind, but I want this to work with any amount of vertices that are connected. There we go. So yeah, we can see the state going through space. Let's go and make it so that the background is black. And then here we can go and use, let's see, let's use a nice color ramp. Let's make some nice colors here. So with this, let's make the dark hue a very nice deep blue. Something like that. And then the new stuff to be a very nice red. Let's go to hue saturation value, set it to be, let's do near. Well, I want this to be more like that. Yeah, let's see if that works. Yes, it does. I knew it would. Very nice. And the thing is, do we make this a kind of power of 2 situation here? That make it look nicer. We just extend the time. Yeah, I think that could help. Maybe let's do 50. Make the fall off look a little bit nicer. Although, if I want it to look the nicest, I can use the LG light fall light. Oh wait, there is just a light fall off node. Wait, when did that become a thing? I'm so out of practice. No, light fall off. Huh. Yeah, when did that become a thing? Been in the old versions of Blender for too long. Okay, so if we do this and then turn up the amount, and also let's go and use the bloom. I'm so glad that in just 2 clicks we can have that there. It's lovely. Again, a little bit of Eevee legacy still lives with us. There we go. So we can do that, and then boom, the gradient looks amazing. Though then again, since the beginning part is so bright, it's a bit much. Maybe I'll just go and use a cheeky vector math scale. Yeah, we can use that to make it a little bit. You know what? Nah, let's just use a power node. And then we can use a mix node because, you know, we don't need to use a map range for everything. Just to customize it. The scale will either be 1 or something like 10. We'll do something like this. Maybe Filmic would be better for this. It works, but it could be better. I want it to be better. And also, I still need to try it on the Rubik's Cube. Okay. We are almost at an hour. Wow, I just had a gut feeling and I looked at the time. Yeah, we can make this a little bit better. Okay, let's ignore this for the time being. Delete that. Yeah, we can even chop that out. I want to make it so that the... Let's see, how do I tell which one's an instance? If I use an object info node, then use the location. What is the best way? What is the best way to figure out if an object is an instance or not? Or, like, in the shader editor to determine instances from regular old geometry. Because I could just store a named attribute, but I forget if there's an actual way of doing this. What? A good way. Because could I just visualize the... Actually, wait. Oh, dang. I forgot that the index attribute is not there, only if there's an ID. Okay, I'm just gonna store data that's like, some data that's like, oh, is instance. In the instance domain. Yep. Is instance. Again, let's format this in an okay way. Make this a boolean. Check. Go into the shader editor. Get an attribute. It needs to be on the instance or domain. This could be any true value, but stored on both geometry, but yeah, that'll work. Let's go and throw this into a hue saturation value node. Set it to be the factor. Do that. Let's go and turn this up by a bit. Hue shift, because hue shifts... Oh, interesting. The hue shift is not looking as well as I thought it would. Maybe with a little bit of desaturation. That's not doing it. Making it brighter. That works. Yeah, that works. That looks pretty. Though, it is a shame I have to rely on bloom and color dodge for that. But it works. And then the brightness is still a little... Actually, no, the timing is a bit much. Okay, that's good enough for seeing, like, how far behind, because it's 1 second in this case. There we go. We can see the state space of that. Okay, so now that we have that, I will try to put in the tangent stuff later. But let's go and make it so that it can read the state. I should also make the merge by distance a bit better, because I can do that. If we can store the hash as a named attribute, and then we can compare the current hash to all of the previous vertice hashes. If any of them have the same amount, we can accumulate that field, put it into, or use an attribute statistic, which actually we don't need any of that in there. This will be state hash. So we can make this better because using the position and then merge by distance like this, oh, hit the mic. This is not a good idea. What about the attribute transform constraint? Any prediction on when it will be integrated into Blender? I'm currently waiting on what I believe is the last round of review, but it seems like there are higher priority things being worked on at this time, which is to be expected. So I do plan on getting that into 5.0. At this time, it is basically done. At the moment, only the last thing that happened was a little UI change, and that was basically it. But yes, I am looking forward to that getting finally reviewed for one last time. Let's see. So we're going to sum all of these. And maybe this shouldn't be the sum. I could add all the hashes together. But no, that's probably a bad idea. The sum of all these, since there are negative values, might make this a bad idea. We can make the hash better later. So we'll get the position, and let's go and get the instance rotation. There we go, and this could be... Could also... whoa, words. My brain just did a full short circuit there. Could do that. Now let's keep it as a your thing. Plug it into there. Yeah, that's why we wanted that. So if we do this and then plug this into here, this should give us... Ah, wait. That's the problem. The state will be very different because of when it rotates. Yeah, that happens. So I'll need to make, instead of this version of the cube, I will need is to make a random rotator that happens per frame. So instead of this being like this, I need to put it into a simulation zone. And yeah, this won't be too difficult. So sim zone, we need to plug this into here. I'm always hesitant when I plug in instances to simulation zones because it does store the instance data itself. So I could just simulate the rotation, like the instance transform, or actually no, yeah, this is all we need. We plug this into there. So each frame, it'll change that. So we don't need you. The only thing that we need to do is rotate you by a set amount. The limiter. So yeah, we just need to... Wait a minute. Something is missing. I should probably just redo this from scratch, shouldn't I? We need an axis and an angle. So yeah, what I'm going to do, let's just reset this. All I need to do is choose a random axis and then rotate the cube based off that. So something really simple. I'm going to go and yoink U for the random axis. Anything above that axis will be rotated. Wrong cube. Because we don't want any, we just want the states, no animation between the states. Go, let's delete that. Hello, how are you? I am doing well. Let's see. Let's see. What did he study in university to be able to do this? I did not go to university. I do, well, financially, I could not go to university due to very complex personal reasons. It did not work out for me. And also, when I was planning to go to university, I was contacted to work on a movie, so I could not do that. So there were multiple reasons for me not going to university, though maybe I'll do that in the future, who knows. And then the rotation, the pivot point needs to be 0, 0, local space needs to be disabled. The position is the... Actually, wait. And that just needs to be... Let's scale that. But yeah, I guess it is a freeing thing to know that you don't need to go to university to do this. Sorry, got some dust in my throat. You don't need to go to university to learn this kind of math. Again, I'm treating it like a game. This is a fun little game that I get to go into every so often and do some cool random stuff. So along the axis, I can dot product, double dot product, and then if the position is greater than a certain amount, we rotate. So here we should see, if I do this correctly, wait a second, let me make sure this is correct. And right here, no, this is, oh, whoa, what went wrong? Oh, maybe that's what's wrong. Right, okay, yep. Then we need an axis and an angle, so to axis angle. Axis angle to rotation. Of course, it was the first one. So we do that, plug it into there, and in theory, yes, okay, this will work. So with just that, and we don't even need U here, so that's a node eliminated. Okay, so there we go. Axis determines that, and that'll be that. We just need to make sure that wasn't randomized for each one. There we go. That's simple enough. Again, the old node setup that you saw was from Blender 3.0, where I was not nearly as good. Dang it. Wait, oh, this needs to be greater than 0.25? There we go, okay. Just avoid the float point precision errors. So now... Wait a minute, why are you, The state is being changed, so why aren't you... Is it doing stuff? Yeah, it should be. Why is it having issues? We can see that our Rubik's Cube, again, state 0, so it'll start off from 0. Then we can see all that happens. So yeah, it is being randomized. And we can see that it does move around. Wait, is it looking at the right Rubik's Cube? No, it's not. That's a reason. There we go, okay. So with this, we can see that it's just moving around. And yeah, since not many connections are happening, maybe I should also put in a visualizer for which ones are connected to however many vertices. That might be a good idea. I might want this to go even faster. Let's try to make this as fast as possible, because I want to see most. Okay, so I am slightly surprised. I know this is funny to say at this stage, but I'm like, oh wait, this is actually working. Almost exactly as I intended. Almost. And then the visualization part, lines and boxes, lines and boxes. Lines and boxes. So we still need to store some data. Wait. I need to store, this will be connection counts. Connections, yeah, this will just be a float or an int. Yeah, it'll be fine. And then we need some mesh topology data, which is corners. Oh no, wait, that won't work. Are there edges of? Vertex, yes, there we go. We just plug that into there, and then we can see how many connections we have. We can use that to alter the brightness of the fact. So here, you can just go into here, and then use the connections data. And then we just add, well, we can multiply, then add by 1, then scale the color so that we can see. Oh, that is working fast. Wow. I'm trying to see when it'll go into another state. But this is such a complex problem that, it looks like it won't be heading anywhere anytime soon. So smooth, though. You can't see it on the stream because the stream is limited to 24 frames per second. But it's interesting that the cubes are not really going anywhere. Wow. But yeah, there are so many possible orientations for a Rubik's Cube that they are just not going to the same state. And I'm also still a little bit hesitant that I'm doing this wrong. Inspired by 2Swap's, how do you pronounce that? Klotsky? State space video? Yes, indeed. I have a screenshot of it right here. I mean, I guess I could try running multiple Rubik's Cubes at the same time. Or multiple versions of this. To get more samples, in a sense. That might be a really bad idea. Are there any connections here? Geometry? Wait a minute. Wait. Did I do that wrong? Of course I did. We're supposed to store this beforehand. Why did I... I must be getting tired of looking at all the nodes. The lines and boxes are getting to my brain. There we go. So we need to store that beforehand so that we actually see what's going on. So here we should be able to see, in this case. Okay, so there are no other connections happening here. I feel like something's a bit wrong with this. Wait, do we need to hash the rotation and the location? No, wait, do we? Wait. No, because, yeah, this part... We don't need to hash these... Okay. Wait. I'm somewhat remembering. These can have different states. These can have different rotations, but these ones can't. Their state, quote-unquote, state remains the same no matter what rotation they're in, but with my setup, that won't be included. That won't be remembered. So that's actually a problem. But these ones here... Oh yeah, no, that is a problem. If I just took the location into account, that would also not be correct either. The rotations are needed, but not on certain ones of these. Ah, that is annoying. Dang, yeah, I need to figure out how to figure out the state of a Rubik's Cube. So, if we were to only hash the position, we would see that connections would form. Oop. In theory, or maybe there's just too many. There are no 2 connections on there? That can't be right. Can't be right. Can it? Okay, I'll try... Oh, shoot. I need to make it so that the middle ones can't rotate. Because I fear that the rotation might be affecting the hash. Or wait, I can just... Wait. I can just go and snap the position into... Do we round? Oh no, there's no round in vector math still. Just floor and hope for the best. Now let's snap it to be 0.1 just so that float point precision errors could probably not be an issue. Let's go and pray that Aha! There's one. There's 2 of them. Keep it going. Yep, we can see that the connective states are being formed. We just need that to run for eternity for it to work. But they are being formed. This is not taking the rotations into account, only the block positions. So, real Rubik's Cubes would be much worse than this. But yeah, float point precision errors are something to be wary of. What's the criteria for coloring? If there are more than 2 connections. Because as we can see here, as it is randomly going through everything, it's forming more and more connections as time goes on. Look at that. And as far as I know in the video, it was just using a random walker to go to the different state. I think. But again, as we can see, oh, the frame rate's dipping. Yep, there it goes. It's inevitable, but yeah. Also because we're simulating the Rubik's Cube, so more and more data is getting stored. Like all the instances. But we can see that it is working as intended. We're getting all the connections there, forming a very interesting web to see. Yeah, okay. Every node should have 18 connections by the end. That sounds right, but I'm not well versed in Rubik's Cubes. I did have a phase, as a young lad does, of, trying to, well, speedrun Rubik's Cubes, but that was probably a decade ago. Let's change the shader so that we can see stuff a little bit better. Okay, so we have that. Let's go and, yep. So, do we hue shift? Yeah, that's probably good. We can see the path it's taking and the parts with more than 2 connections. Not the best, but we take what we can get. There we go. So I guess for the is instance, we can go and lower that instead. So again, in theory, when lists become a thing, we can store the data of the Rubik's Cube on every single one of these points. Which would, actually, wait. We could do that now. I can make it so that every single one of these instances contains points with every single... Well, yeah, no. I can just go and instance... Yeah, I can just store the cube and then place it at every single one of these points. So I could have every single state of this cube actually shown. It would be probably laggy as hell, but it would work. Let's not hue shift this, let's just set it to be 0.5. So that we can see the stronger connections. And yeah, let's just go and make it so that it's multiplied as well, so that we can... Added by... Oh wait, no, I just wanted this to be scale. Okay. But yeah, it is possible to do in Blender. And no, we want this to be... No, I want to subtract by 1. Because we want it to start from there, and then we don't need to add 1, do we? Or no, do we need to subtract 2 and then add 1? Yeah, that's what we need to do. There we go. So if we do this right here, we can see just the ones with multiple connections. Then we can do that to... Yeah, that's how you do it. Very nice. And then to make it so that we can see it on the instance part as well, we're just going to add both the attributes together because apparently that's the best way to do it at this time. Shader editor is just a tad behind geometry nodes in terms of some of this, just the logistics part. It's not bad though. So there we go. You can see the states of a Rubik's Cube. That is actually fascinating. And again, this is a little more dense than it probably should be, just because we're not taking the rotation hash into account. Which if we were to do that, yeah. What happened with lists? Was it an experimental build? That sounds crazy heavy for the computer. Lists, as far as I know, I think they're in stasis at the moment. They're in a good place. It's just that they need like strings to be supported and all that, which I have nodes planned for when lists come out, but those are on hold until the other data types get included. But once that happens, I have like 3 nodes that I want to tuck past the developers. See what they think. Actually, some nodes that I proposed back before lists were a thing, where the developer said, yeah, when lists become a thing, that might be doable. So I'm just waiting for strings to be available in lists, and then I'll be doing a lot. They're experimental, yes, they are experimental in 5.0. I keep forgetting because I've been playing around with experimental branches. Kind of like this. Actually, let's go and save this in its current state and then go and watch as stuff happens. Oh, so yep, we have one connective state right there. Should probably go and make the connective states a bit better. That actually, oh, that looks so cool. It probably doesn't look as good to you all because of bitrate and stuff like that, but yeah, there we go. We're almost at an hour and a half, which I'm enjoying this project, so I can continue it for a bit longer. But I want to fix a few things. So a few things that I want to do Numero uno is that I want to fix the extrude. So I need to take the hash. I need to store the hash on all the points. So instead of all this being position-based, which leads to float-point precision errors, which is not good, we're going to store the hash. So this will be state hash. There we go. And then we'll only use merge by distance to connect the stuff, and we'll make it as easy on the computer as possible. So if different... Yeah, okay. Or no, we only update the state hash if extrude is true. Yeah, that'll only be updated in that case. And then, if the current hash is equal to the stored hash, if both of them are equal, then, and this does kind of mean we have to evaluate the hash twice, but that's fine. If both of those are equal, then that'll be the merge by distance selection. So, wait, in theory, does that just work? We don't even need to set the position. The position will all be 0 for everything. Don't need to offset you. So, in theory, this might work. Oh wait, that does. Okay. So we just eliminated a point of something that could go horribly wrong. Yay! Oh, that's nice. And it'll be much faster as well. There we go. Much better. I knew it. I knew that would work. Okay. And now we have all the hashes stored as well, so we can always take a look at the actual values. And again, we could store all the other data on each vertice, but like, it's just a matter of how much of a pain in the rear it'll be. Because I could store the rotation data on every single one, like every single instance rotation on every single vertice, but it would be better to do that with lists instead. But yeah. We have multiple state hashes. We now have a better way of actually doing the state hashes. Unfortunately, we still need to... There is no position input for merge by distance, which is a shame. So we do have to use that secondary position workaround. It's not the worst. It's not bad, but it can be slightly annoying. So with this... That's now a much more robust way of telling if two states are the same. Now, I do need to mention that hash value is not perfect. There are chances that the states will be the same just because of random hash randomness. There's a chance that some will overlap, but it's probably fine. Again, I would just have to tell this previous state all the values are equal to every single other one. That's probably really, really inefficient, isn't it? Yeah. Comparing one value to every other value is probably best. But yeah, hash is probably the best option we have for now. Okay, now what we need to do is see if the rotate... Oh, actually, wait. We need to get that tangent space thing working again. Okay. So, let me think about this. And this will probably redo the edge constraint stuff as well. Alright. So... But this won't work for ones with multiple connections, which is annoying. How do we make it so that actually works? It'd have to be for each connection. That is so gosh darn annoying. Or I could just... Actually, wait a second. Does this change the setup a lot? No. I forgot what I was going to do. So we have the average position. I want to make it so that this position tries to go to there. And if we do this, who knows, maybe this will work. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Or we could just try this instead. Uh-oh. 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 Man, it's never good when you see that. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Wait a minute, why did that happen? Oh, no, never mind, I know why. So, what if we were to just do this instead? Wait, what? Oh, that's... Need to... I'm getting tired, everyone. I severely apologize. There we go. So we have that. We have the actual position. What I wanted to do is mix that with that. There we go. In this case... There we go. You see how that's doing that? It's not correct because it needs to be like... You can see that a tangent is working. And we're getting all of that happening. Nice. Okay. There we go. That's how it was supposed to look. There we go. So now we can actually see the web. There we go. Okay. So now I just need to make it so that it'll try to align. So how do we do that again? We have normalize and then the length. So we have our midpoint right there. We have the offset to the midpoint. So I think we just need to... We need to dot product it, but I forgot how. Yeah, and then we have this. How do we do that again? Is that a space visualization? Yes, yes it is. I don't know if it's accurate or not. I am not well versed in this subject. But I want to at least try it. I also want to try out which one is the most stable. If we set that to be a quarter. Okay. So again, if we take, we want this, the midpoint of these two would be there. I want this to only go there. Which just moved a little bit. How do we do that? Wait a minute, do we just take... If it's this simple, I will be a little upset with myself. Almost, but oh no, wait, yeah, no, we need to do vector rejection, right? Vector rejection against what is the question? Yeah, no, that's the problem. Or wait, no, is it? If we relax that, if we set it to 1, causes it to absolutely freak out. We can see that that part's just spinning, having a grand old time. I don't know why it's doing that zigzag pattern. Also, since it still seems to be having a rough time, I'm going to do this. Just to try to make the state a little bit better, but now we can see that that's not doing that. We need the gosh darn tangents. have I forgotten that? 8.5. And that causes it to have an aneurysm. It's like it's trying to crush itself. Uh-oh. Ah, okay. Just want to see this being like 0.1. Ah, okay. You need that. Wait, so the edge, wait, the edge length thing is doing nothing right now? Oh, dang, is that making it? Oh. I might have been a bit, actually not entirely. It's still having issues. Dang, I really forgot how to do that. Okay, let me read the chat because, yeah. In this instance, visualizing the connections between different permutations of a Rubik's Cube where a line represents two states, one move apart. Yes. Now, again, there is the slight issue that the instance rotations are not being taken into account. And that is simply because... Wait, what? Yeah, what is going on there? Oh, no, it's just switching between whichever one is closest. So if we turn this off... Oh my gosh. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We can see it's collapsed. Oh, wait. I just... Blur attributes. Sorry if you hear a car in the background. There's a loud car. I just blur the positions. And then feed that into there. Oh god. Yeah, that would not work. Because I need to add that into there. And then scaled a little bit. 0.25. Yeah, we can see it's going in different directions, and then some connections form. Yeah, making it... Because if this just was a curved chain, it would be so simple. Then that happens. When there's multiple connections, that's when the problem arises. And I can't even do this on... There's no face corners, so I can't even do it that way. The only real way would be to manually... Or somewhat... Because we don't have lists. Or, no, there has to be another way. I've done this before. Let's see. In this case, it's not changes over time being graphed. I could make it so that each change is shown on there, but that would probably be a bit computationally expensive. Okay, I'm just gonna try to do this somewhat manually. Now I need to remember what is the thing? Let's see. So mesh topology. So this will probably take the most amount of time if I don't get it immediately. So it's edges of vertex. There are no corners on this, so that is our only lead. This is our only lead. And then with the edge, I can look at the edge ahead and the edge behind. And then compare the vertex index ahead to the original one to make sure it's not that. Sorry if you hear sirens in the background. So we need to find... I really wish we had... yeah. So it would be edge, and then we would evaluate both of those, which between the two, and then do that. Yeah. Accumulate field for every single one. No. We get the position on all those, but no, that wouldn't work either. Now there's something I'm missing, something very obvious. Let's set that to be 0.25. So again, that does that. Again, that moving that to there should be fine. And I need to do a vector rejection, but on what axis? That is the problem. If I just take that point, and just get the axis to there, we normalize it, then we do a dot product. And then we take this vector, we take the dot, we subtract it against the original vector, that makes a vector rejection. I just need to do a projection. That's the same vector. This is annoying. Need to think. The answer is so close. I can feel the connections in my brain, but they're just too far apart. Let's think about this. Because we're converting domains. That's the pain in the butt. Subtract. Let's put this here. So we have our tangents. Let's go and normalize this because the actual length does not matter. We have that, and then we have the midpoints. Then we have the vector between those two. No, both of those are essentially the same right now. Because we have the midpoint between both the edges. Which means that since it is halfway, we can set this to be 0.5 and that'll be fine. Set this to be 0.25. Bigger it is, the worse it gets. That makes the most organized version. Yeah, but this is basic stuff, I should know this. In this case, this part isn't even really necessary. Sides... Wait, what's your problem? Oh, I could just make it so that if it's not that, that'll work. So, right here. Oh, that works a little too well. So we can see, wait. Why are the spaces not evening out? Did I just do this completely wrong? I think I did this completely wrong. Am I doing the domain part wrong? Where I should be doing this inside here, and then just stack the forces at the end? I think we can see that that is not working as intended. How is that set to... Alright. Do we just accumulate field? No, that wouldn't work. Okay. I'm half considering, like, resetting this part of the project. And then starting from scratch. But no, it should... You have both vertex points. Again, this is on the edge domain. That is working. We set the length between them, and then we set that through. We average the amount, which that should average it for the most part. We do that, and then we can see, yeah, that happens. Dang. Let's see. If you enjoy this, I recommend watching 2Swap's newest video after the stream, which combines estate spaces and sliding puzzles with phenomenal sound design. Yes, that video is amazing. It's really good. I would recommend watching it. Let's see. Sway's channel looks interesting. It looks like an AI agent makes the I don't know what you're talking about that. As far as I know, they don't use AI with this, which is a good thing. AIs are not accurate when it comes to this kind of stuff. Or anything. Let's see. Assume the flashes are caused by the new nodes being close enough to each other that their combined emission goes over the glow threshold. Yes, in this case, the amount of connections causes the higher glow. Why? I'm trying to use all 15 of my brain cells to make this work, and I am confusing myself greatly. Okay, let's try to do this. Okay. Edges, a vertex. So this will be the this is going to be such a pain just because the topology nodes, there's a little gap in the topology nodes. Or in this case, on the edge index, we need to evaluate vertex index 1 and 2, and then swap between them if it's equal to the vertex index. It's a pain. Evaluate edge. We need to evaluate that on the edge domain, that and that, and then swap it if one is equal to the other. This might be a little gap in my knowledge or gap in geometry nodes, but we need to, since it gives vertex index 1 and yeah, no. This is how we get the one ahead or the one behind, but I do need to check. So with all this, which is a pain. Oh, wait a second. Get both of those. And then, yeah, we need to do it ahead and behind, so we need 2 of these to run. And there may be even more. So that is a pain. And I might need to swap these. So this, again, is just a gap with geometry nodes, I think. Or just a quirk of the topology nodes. Where now we can finally use that index. So this is the ahead. This is bad. Let's see. An AI agent is trying to figure out how to solve the puzzle for a Rubik's Cube. Oh, okay. Creating the move states by attempting to solve the puzzle. As far as I know in that video, it's a random walker, but it could be, there might be different ones being used at different times. Let's see. Okay, so now that we finally have that, we can finally actually go and use the setup as intended. So here we can do this and that. So this will give us one of them. And then if we do this over here, this will give us the other. So if we add both of these together, Since both of these are a quarter, it should be fine. Okay. It's not fine. We might need to swap these. Which one? Come on, buddy. I'm simply going to try. Okay, that's wrong. Are you the problem? Yes, that was the problem at hand. And I need to check if there is even one there. So yeah, if the total is 1. Oh yeah, I need to check that too. Oh, dang. We can see one part of the chain is working. So here we need to swap. Oh yeah, no, the logic was just wrong. Yeah. So if we add both of those together, we should get something along these lines. Okay. But we can see that there are still some issues. What causes that? No, I know what happens. The one time a 3 connection occurs, that happens. Which that is... Oh, wait. No, that's not the problem. So what causes the spike where it goes into infinity? That's putting that in the point domain. We're doing that, and then we're doing that. What would cause that to happen? The only things I can think of are when multiple connections occur. Then it really tries to overcompensate. What if I just tried to make it so that... Here, let's put this into a frame. So this will be forward, vert. And then this one will be back, vert. Again, I'm pretty sure this works, but it is so annoying to get that set up. Wait, is there just a vertex neighbors? Ah, no. It won't give you the index of the vertex neighbors, it'll just give you the vertex count and the face count. Which I assume is by counting the amount of edges. So I could have just used this. And as far as I know, there isn't a way of telling... I'm pretty sure vertex index 1 and vertex index 2, we need to do this verification check to make sure it's not the original vertex. So as far as I know, this is the only way of doing that. And then we just need to keep sorting through all of them, which is annoying. Here we're looking at that one, and that should be fine. If we do this, what happens then? Goes into nan infinity. So freaking fun. Let's go and put this here. Yeah, we're getting close to 2 hours already. And then, oh, that's another problem. Yeah, we need to chop out those two as well. Yeah, there we go. So this should be a bit more stable. In theory. Unless they screwed something up. What could I have possibly screwed up? It'd be 0.5 away from the previous one at all times. Oh, wait, maybe it is just working. It is, okay. So if I were to also connect to this one, just the tangent part is not working. So I should probably do that as well. There we go. is intriguing. Oh, also I need to put in a check if it's valid. What the heck? What the heck is going on with you? No fun. Maybe I should throw in the knots again. Or, like, the stuff should only... What? Okay, something's gone wrong. What went wrong? What went wrong? What went wrong? Why are all of them being set to the new... Okay, again, all that's supposed to be happening, but apparently I just forgot, is, like, a point like this is supposed to be moved into the middle between these 2 points, and then there's supposed to be, like... I'm gonna do this in the dumb way again, because I just can't seem to actually do it correctly. Blur attributes, we're going to subtract... Or no, if we blur it, that's just our new position. And then if we subtract it from an even blurrier position, we can do the subtract to normalize scale. So again, if we just do this, we can see that nothing occurs because it's disconnected. Let's set this to be 1. Here, we can see that this happens, which is good. It's blurring the vertex positions, but then we need the even more blurred position to try to move away from. So, we are going to try that next. Although, let's have that as our first step. I should be better than this. I should be better than this. I should know this already. Normalize, scale, and then we add that into U. Now I just made DNA. I had a feeling that would happen. If you ever wanted to make deoxyribonucleic acid, you can. That's because it's too strong, way too strong. Change the weight down. Oh, right. Length, subtract, 25 scale. Wait, what? There we go. That's more like it, and much more beautiful as well. And the blur is occurring, yes. If we do this, that makes it a bit better. The only apparent issue is that, further... What? Well, we're saving this. I am still a bit confused as to what, is going on. Huh? Okay, that... Why does it have to be above 1? Okay. I need to look this up after the stream. The length is normalized, and then that happens, and then we subtract 1, and then that would make it 0. What? I am a moron. I am a moron of the highest degree. Oh. So the problem there was that I connected the normalize into the length. A rookie mistake, instead of connecting it into there. So, now, this... Oh my goodness. I am actually mad at myself because of that. I am very mad at myself. Very mad. Okay, well, since... Make this even cheaper. Should probably fold this all into one, where we have one blur. Because we're still trying to... Yeah, we do that. We do that, and then we do that. Okay, yep. X, get that out of there. Okay, sorry for that unnecessary detour. We're just gonna go and yoink all that out of there. We might keep you, though, even though you're kind of unnecessary at this time. I am... Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake. Yeah, let's do that. So, 2 blurs. Looks pretty, though. We could also lessen just the amounts by a lot. 5 is fine. Okay, so with all that out of the way, dang. So this would be, extrude, offset. Okay, well, it looks nice, it's beautiful, it's amazing. It almost looks like a galaxy forming. There we go. All the states of a Rubik's Cube, and we'll just let that go in the background. Wait, why are you freaking out? Okay, so it looks like there's still some room for improvement. But for the most part, it's fine. It just becomes more unstable as time goes on. No, what would cause that? Oh, yeah, because if it has more than one connection... Yeah, no, that makes sense, but we can leave it. It makes it look like there's more connections than there really are. That is a shame. No, I could just make it so that if it has more than 2 vertex neighbors, then part of the setup will disable. So actually I could do that right now. So vertex neighbors, if you are less than 2, then this part will just straight up be disabled. Oh wait, does this have to be 0.5? Does that fix it? No, it does not. Ah, that's a problem. If it's less than 2, they don't get accurately blurred, and then everything gets dragged along with them. Not good. Well, we can see that, it does cause more iterations to do stuff. But what if I just lowered the steps and turned up these guys? No, we don't want to do more of that. That's a bad idea. But yeah, maybe 2 blur steps would be fine. Yeah, that is the traversal path of a Rubik's Cube. And we can see that more and more connections are being formed. So, why are you off right there? I need to go into the shader and make it so that we can always see. So if extrude is true, we go and switch, use a mix node, because which doesn't really exist. And then we do that. So here, that makes that a little bit brighter. That's fine. So there, we'll set this to be something really bright. It'll just override everything else. So with all that done, it works. Now it is really annoying that it took 2 hours for me to simply get the string part done. Look at that. That is incredible. Should probably try this with the sliding blocks, because that will probably lead to some cool stuff. But maybe I'll save that for another stream. Look at that. But yeah, for the state of it. I need to improve the state part of the Rubik's Cube, because we do need to include the rotations. But I need to make it so that the middle bits will not rotate at all. And also, wait. Where does the geometry from the Rubik's Cube come from? Oh, just from a cube that's generated. Well, we could do no. We're doing this with the actual geometry so that I can select all of these, or actually all these bits, invert it. Assign a vertex group. Yes, that's why we do it. Let's go and use a group input, put you into there. Don't need you or you anymore. We'd love to see it. Named attribute, this will be group. We'll use an and node. So this will make it so that the middle parts do not rotate. Again, that is necessary for the state. Then for all the other ones, the rotation state will be used. So we can do that, throw on a snap. Just because float point precision errors, all that jazz. So now, with this new version, we'll see that it'll take a lot longer. Because it was not even working. And I converted my keyboard to Chinese again. I need to stop hitting that hotkey. So it appears that it's just never going to the same state again. Oh, wait. Who are you connected to? Themselves? Or, no, there's not another edge in there. Maybe that's just a bug. Okay, so I feel like that's wrong, because there can't be that many. No, something's wrong. Is the... Oh wait, I could just hash the transform. Or wait, no, I can't. I'm worried about adding the hashes together. So I need to sum them up and then do all that. Oh, but them being summed is an issue as well. Yeah, so how do I stack up all the hashes? 'Cause yeah, no, oh no, there are a lot of issues with this setup. All these have to be non-negative numbers for it to work. How do you calculate the Rubik's Cube states? In this case, I just go and sum the position values and then throw it into a hash. It's dumb, and I know that. But to find the actual state and then convert that into a hash, I don't know the proper way of doing that with a Rubik's Cube. Because I can hash all of the instances and those values, but I can't sum the hashes. Because that... How do you rotate the Rubik's Cube parts? I just do rotate instances, which in this case, it would just take the top parts and then rotate them by 90 degrees. That's why snapping is kind of important, because there is a good chance there's some inaccuracies just because of floats. I take the rotation, convert that into an Euler, I snap the Euler, and then do all that. So that should be fine. Middle parts do not rotate at all, so their state does not change. That's to be expected. Do I need to change? No, that should be fine because it doesn't stack up the rotations. Do I convert this into an axis and an angle instead? Would that be better? Just hash the axis and the angle. Okay, I could just take the axis. Yeah, no, that would probably work. To axis angle, if we just have that and then snap it. Does that work? Actually, okay, let's throw you into here and then see what's going on. Yeah, okay, so it's the rotation that's the issue. Oh, wait, there's a connection. Two. Huh. Okay, so it's not completely. We're just close to each other. I guess that's when, through random chance, it rotates and then it rotates back. So I guess it is working. But how do we actually tell the state of these? Because... do we absolutely... Absoluting this does not seem like a good idea. Will cause more connections, but it'll be inaccurate, won't it? Because it can't just be the position. Unless I instanced a triangle. Actually, that might be a legitimate way to do this in a better way. I just instance... No. If I just have a vertice where every single one of the faces are, and then compare those. Actually, no, no. I'm not insane. I'm not insane for thinking that. Okay. So what if I were to just 2 points? Let me wait. Store named attribute. Okay. We need to store the transform. Transform. This is a long stream today, but I am having a good time with it. So if we take the instance transform, do that, and then we instance on points. Instance on points. And then we set the instance transform. This is basically a complicated way of swapping the geometry set of the instance, because this is the only way to do it. We can do this, and then we can have points. Okay, now I'm just gonna have an object to do this because this would be a huge pain to actually do. So subdivide, we just need one on X, Y, and Z. Do that, that's fine. That is, yep, positive axes. So we just have one for the axes. Yep. Where's the Rubik's Cube? So we just have this cube, we drag it into here, we do that. So now we have vertices where those are. So now, if we look at the cube, transform is going there, right? Rotations are occurring. So with this data, we can't really see it, but we should see it. Let's check if the... Oh, the rotations are doing nothing. Uh-oh. Oh, maybe I set up the Rubik's Cube wrong. No, how could it go wrong? Those rotate. Uh-oh. I might have set this up really wrong. No, that's fine. It is actually rotating. It gets rotated again. And that gets rotated. What if we rotated this by 45 degrees every single time? Does it work? Yeah. 1, 2. I know, it works. The instance rotation. Oh yeah, no, the rotations are going, so why is that not being transferred to... you? That's really freaking weird. I'm dumb again. You actually connect that to there. Okay, there we go. Now that's... Oh my gosh. So we're going to just do this inside of this part of the geometry node setup. Okay, the stream is coming to an end very soon. But if we realize... Okay, so this is a fancy way of just getting the states without using rotations. If they don't move, they don't move, and all that's fine. Those ones will not move. Yep. Okay. So we can now do this and that. There we go. So if we do this now, again, summing it is not the best idea. Better one would probably be to average it. Okay. Will it ever connect again? That is the question. No, it won't, because it was set to instance. I thought I changed that. There we go. I mean, okay. So, it is working. The only thing is that we can see that the connections are doing that. So, yeah, it's working. Just Rubik's Cubes apparently are very difficult to deal with. And I am snapping it by 0.1 just so that we don't have float point precision error, so that won't be an issue. But yeah, Rubik's Cubes are difficult. Or it's hard to randomly get from one part to another. I'm waiting for a big connection to occur. Oh wait, a loop. Oh, a rather large loop did happen. And as we go along, it will become more common for connections to take place from across the universe. Should have also stored an attribute for, oh, actually, no, I can find out which, point is the oldest pretty easily. You can just see the scale of this. Wow. Hundreds of thousands of points, and only a few connecting bits. What about a 4x4? Oh, 2x2 Rubik's Cube? That is a much better idea. Thank you for reminding me that those exist. Yeah, that would be better. Okay. So, do I even... No, I probably do need to change the code a little bit. Or at the... You know what I mean. We delete you, and then add in just a regular cube. I don't even think I need to really change all too much of it. Besides scaling you down by half. So here... Wait a minute. Ah, okay. And I need to assign. There we go. Even though it doesn't matter too much. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yep, we can see that. Well, there... still feels like there's... We're getting more connections, but feels like... Actually, let me look this up. Let's see. How many possible states are in a 2x2 Rubik's Cube? 3 million... Okay. There are 3,674,160 possible states. Now let's try 3x3. 43 quintillion. Okay. No, okay. So for a 3x3 Rubik's Cube, quintillions. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. So, yeah, no, I was just barking up the wrong tree for that one. Which means that I probably could go back to just using the instance's actual positions for all that. That's probably fine. Look at that web. So I am wondering, because we have about 3 million of these to go. Are these big loops outside, like, actually how it... Well, no, you can get to every single state of a Rubik's Cube from every other state, at least for 2x2, right? They do all join together. Okay. So this was a dumb idea anyway. I need to actually have a block puzzle that... I need to actually try doing a block puzzle. We'll say that for next time. So all these will connect, but on the flip side, that's really freaking cool. So a lot of this will just be, since it's going randomly, it's just going to... That is so cool, though. Look at that. I guess I could get the same result just by hashing just a value. But, still really cool. Okay. Well, that was fun, but I think that'll be it for today. I'll do some tests off stream where, oh, we're almost 2 hours and 30 minutes. This went on for way too long. I apologize, everyone. It was a cool experiment. Successful. But apparently I just need to change a few things. Yep. Alrighty, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will, I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Oh wait, let me read the chat before I go. Do you reckon you could make an irreducible graph, meaning merge all the vertices with only 2 connections so that only long strands would be shrunk down to only 1 strand? It would be possible, probably. Let's see. Let's see. I think the long loops represent many consecutive permutations without a repetition over time. If I understand right, they ought to be pulled in. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, because there are... Oh, wait, is that the original salt? Is that the original state right there? Oh, wait a minute. That's the beginning. That is actually super interesting. Visualization-wise. That is the solved state. That is fascinating. Just seeing the visualization of, through random chance, the chances of you going back to the original here are so incredibly low. And then the long loops do... Oh, that is... Would it be the last to be connected? No? No, it would have a random chance of getting connected. Yeah. It's rolling... Every time it's rolling a dice, essentially. So there is always a chance that one will lead it back to there. Or several, you know. I forget how many turns it takes for it to get to the solved state from any other state. Yeah, that is really cool. Let's see. I think I read pretty much everything. All right. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one. This was fun.